Hello and welcome to Unrecognised Heroes, the official podcast brought to you by the National AI and Cyber Awards. This is the podcast where we dive into the latest innovations, challenges, and success stories in the world of cybersecurity. I'm your host, Ellie, and today I'm excited to be joined by Racheal Muldoon, partner at Charles Russell Speechley's law firm. Racheal, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ellie. Really pleased to be here.
I'm really pleased to have you. So let's kick things off, Racheal. For anyone that's not familiar with you or your work, could you talk us through a bit of your background, how you got to where you are today and cyber law?
Absolutely. Well, I've had an unconventional career, let's say, in the past decade or so. So, in terms of training, I'm a barrister. What does that mean to an international audience? I'm the lawyer that sticks the wig on and wears the gown and walks around the courtroom. Well, if you're a US attorney, that is. But I started off my career, in fact, in the criminal law.
Okay.
So I was a criminal barrister by training, very much based in London. But from the very early days, a good 10 years ago or so, I became fascinated by how technology would enable greater evidential support for my cases, particularly when it came to frauds and looking at forensic reports and transactional activities. So those were the very early beginnings, running around frantically from court to court, but very much focused on tech. And very much it changed in the years, months and years to come. We moved into very much a regulatory framework in my practice. So I was seconded to the UK's financial regulator, the FCA, and there I saw even more of a proliferation of the deployment of tech, looking through data files, and yeah, very much got the bug. So moving from criminal into regulatory, then very much began my career into the commercial world. So drafting various agreements, governance documents, looking at data protection breaches, cybersecurity vulnerabilities with experts, and then moving into the insolvency sphere. And at that time, there was very much a boom in terms of digital assets. It was the early days in 2017. So I've moved again into digital assets, looking at blockchain as a form of ledger, distributed ledger technology, all the beautiful evidential benefits of that. And yes, ended up working on some of the largest digital assets insolvencies in the world, culminating in 2 years on the global FTX insolvency, where I acted for the Bahamian regulator, the Securities Commission for the Bahamas. And so that very much took me all the way through to the end of last year. In the past 2 years also, I've appeared before the courts and I've got to do some pretty interesting things with technology. So in some of my matters, I've sought to recover stolen digital assets, stolen data files for my clients, and enjoyed much success working alongside judges and experts to come up with innovative ways of conducting legal proceedings. So, for example, service of legal papers by NFT token airdrop, for instance, was one nuance. And yeah, so by the end of last year, I'd thoroughly enjoyed my time as a barrister, but I needed a new challenge. And so that's why I'm here today as a partner at Charles Russell Speechley's. We're an international law firm, 13 international offices throughout the world, and I'm here at the London headquarters, and I'm delighted to be here.
How fantastic. I'm fascinated just listening to your story and the transformations across, the legal sector into regulatory, and then you'll move into the more digital space. Was there any kind of key turning point for you where you thought, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be, or any mentors perhaps along the way that supported that development and movement across the sector?
I've had wonderful mentors over the years, and as naff as it may sound, I very much have a professional mantra of standing on the shoulders of giants. And it will make them blush, no doubt, if they're listening. But Dean Armstrong, KC, has been a long-standing mentor of mine. He is a silk at the Bar of England and Wales. What does that mean? He's the most senior of barristers in the nation, and he's been instrumental. He was counsel alongside me in the course of 2 years, over the course of 2 years in FTX, and also many of my other matters. Everything I know about data breaches, data exfiltration, rapid incident response, and everything in between is because of him. And then also supplementing the wonderful work he's done is the expertise of all of the cybersecurity professionals I've worked with, tracing experts, whether that be in the digital asset sphere or whether that be across artificial intelligence in more recent years. So yes, I've had wonderful mentors, and I'm now, she says, sounding like an old woman, getting to a point in my career now as partner where I very much want to carry that baton and pass it on to associates, senior associates, trainees, those looking to explore a career in law. And yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful time and a wonderful privilege to do that.
It's so powerful. Often when I have these conversations, the same kind of story resonates where they've had a wonderful mentor and they've gone on to really want to champion the next generation into whatever the profession may be. It's such a powerful tool to be able to mentor others, but also to be mentored.
Mm.
So I love that your mission is to help the next generation coming through. One of the things I love about these conversations is the real world impact of the work that you actually do. And in the work you're doing now, how is that helping and how is your expertise in cyber law making a difference to your clients?
Gosh, well, without being big headed, look, I think when it comes to my professional opinions, my professional advice as a legal services professional, I very much want to take something that is complex, which the intersection of law and cyber is in so many regards, and distill it into practical steps. Whether you're a general counsel of a firm based here or elsewhere, whether you're a board member, a shareholder, you need to know not the academics of law, not the wonderful creative points that we obsess over, but in fact, those action points. Where is the risk exposure? How do we mitigate it? What do we have to do? What are the timescales? What's the cost? What are we looking at here? So how I try to help people fundamentally, my clients, is to guide them through that complexity at the intersection of law and technology. It's not easy. It requires monitoring developments across cyber attacks, as we've seen in recent days, for instance, with attacks on large retail outfits in the UK and globally. You need to constantly try and stay 3 steps ahead to guide your clients. But it's a privilege because, let's face it, there are other areas of law that aren't so prone to that quick evolution and responsiveness. And I'm pleased to say that in this field, it's dynamic, but also high risk, of course. So high risk, high reward. So assisting my clients to do the hard work for them, already envisage the risks, hopefully, before they happen, and mitigate is in the most straightforward of ways without the legal language is what I'm all about.
I like that. That's great. But we have to talk about the National Cyber Awards, Rachel. Just to
Mm.
segue on from that, because of course helping your clients and your experience in the field, but you won the National Cyber Award for Cyber in Law last year, which is an
Goodness,
amazing accomplishment.
I did. I didn't see it coming at all, I must say. And that's not me being modest. It was a wonderful surprise. My wonderful husband actually said that it was never in doubt, but he would say that, of course. But let me see. So the award, as you say, was the Cyber in Law Award 2024. And I was very privileged to be selected as the winner for this award. It recognises individuals, teams, and organisations within the legal sector who, and I quote, are driving progress and innovation within the cyber industry. So I was nominated alongside fantastic nominees many of whom I count as friends, wonderful firms. And I was in very, very good company. And so I didn't expect it at all, but I was delighted, absolutely delighted to win the award. It's a huge honour, and as a judge now for the awards, I'm very much looking forward to reading submissions from nominees in the coming weeks, and attending the award in the awards ceremony in September. Really looking forward to it.
Well, we're so pleased to have you as a judge this year. And like you say, of course, winning that award, probably stands you in great stead to be judging others' applications because it's such a high accolade. So we're so pleased to have you. I'm curious, Racheal, of course, from a professional standpoint, that's great credibility and a great accomplishment. But from a personal standpoint, did it have an impact on you winning that award? And who did you first celebrate with?
Gosh, well, who did I first celebrate with? The whole table. I was very fortunate to be sat at. Some of whom are now clients of mine, and which is fabulous. And that just goes to show again the value of the awards. You're around true experts in their fields, and you can do some pretty incredible things together, as we have in the past year or so since. Let me see. It really was a turning point. Looking back, it was a catalyst winning the award for the further advancement of my career. I received this recognition for my expertise in the cyber law field from industry experts across cyber, not merely lawyers. And that, of course, elevated my professional profile within the sector more than I ever could have dreamt. And so this was one aspect, winning the award, that really motivated my transition from my role as a barrister in chambers, very much London centric, to in fact aspiring to an international practice in the international sphere with international partners all over the world at Charles Russell Speechlys. And so it very much motivated my move into the partnership and into private practice in an international law firm. And I'm so grateful for that, because while I've thoroughly enjoyed the past 10 years, my practice at the bar, my evolution of my career, I can now do so much more for clients internationally, as I say, but also the scope of work with every kind of legal specialist you can imagine as fellow partners and associates beside me. So thank you to the awards, because you were instrumental in my career to date.
It's really lovely to hear, actually. And I always love, and I know the wider team here always love hearing the stories. And of course, so many people have wonderful, fruitful careers before the awards, but hearing your story after is amazing. And yeah, you should be so proud of that accomplishment.
Oh, you're
Um,
very kind.
I'm really keen to dive into your what you do day in, day out, Racheal, because I'm imagining no day is quite the same, but what does a typical day in the life of you look like?
Gosh, well, you're exactly right, Ellie. No 2 days are alike, as cliched as that may sound. However, there are three consistent themes. There's technology being the subject matter at the heart of all that I advise, cross-border complexity, so all the different nations in the world having to advise from jurisdiction to jurisdiction for clients, and rapid response. We all know that when it comes to tech, hours seemed like months and months seemed like years. So my day often starts very early. And that's because of my clients and because of my colleagues in APAC, whether that be our office in Hong Kong or Singapore. I'm usually on video calls by 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning. And this might involve advising an Asian-based fintech on cross-border AI compliance, or helping trust companies handle a suspected data breach. By about mid-morning, I'm typically in touch with cybersecurity professionals, some internal, some external, and I'll either be reviewing breach reports, addressing vulnerability scans, or preparing legal framework governance documents, for instance, in compliance with the UK GDPR. And very much late mornings, early afternoons, I then move into the Middle East, very much kind of finishing off the day with Dubai and our wonderful team there, who I had the privilege of meeting last week. And then liaising with partners in Switzerland, a jurisdiction I love. We've got offices in Geneva and Zurich, then moving back towards London by the early afternoon. And that can look like anything: a smart contract review, AI governance review, data protection, enforcement action. And then by the late afternoon, potentially I'm speaking to some family offices or private wealth advisors, talking about structuring various projects and succession. And then, say, early evening, I switch time zones again. So I'm now over in the States. So we've made the full swing, really. I'm either on calls with wonderful attorney partners in New York or perhaps in San Francisco, and we're collaborating on transatlantic digital assets or data matters. So yes, it's very much an international day, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
That sounds amazing. You're kind of round the world in 12 hours plus, really.
Yeah, sometimes a lot longer, but it's all worth it.
As we know, the world of cyber rapidly evolves at such pace. But are you seeing any trends in the work that you're doing at the moment, Racheal, of the cyber law landscape evolving?
I am. I alluded to it earlier. In the past few days, and we're recording this in early May 2025, in the past few days, we've seen the world rocked, particularly the UK, by cyber attacks targeting large UK retailers and internationally various countries' critical infrastructure. Now, not much is known, or at least not publicised to the public yet, in relation to these attacks. But there is speculation, of course, that they are very much motivated, carried out with the assistance of artificial intelligence technologies. And there's nervousness amongst the retail sector, of course, because the question is, who's next? And how can that be avoided? So it's something I'll be addressing next week when I speak with some of the largest brands in the world. But in the meantime, we very much need to keep monitoring the situation to see if, in fact, more is known. Is this related to agentic AI? Is this something that is more generative AI, more smaller scope in nature? Is this, in fact, a development from the cybersecurity sphere of new malware or something along those lines, new forms of social engineering? We just don't yet quite know. So that's something that very much is at item number 1 of board minutes when I'm discussing these matters with directors. And of course, coming back to the crux of what I seek to do is guiding them through the complexity. So it's my role to weed through all of this information and pull out those key practical nuggets. So that's what I will be doing in the next few hours and days.
Sounds incredibly interesting, but also incredibly time consuming for you to have to figure out, in real time what is going on and how can I best advise my clients on that. Is that one of the most complex issues you're facing right now? Are there any other real world problems that are quite tangible that your clients are seeing, or how do you go about navigating that in real time?
Yeah, well, I'm in a fortunate position now as a barrister in practice. I'm very proud of the work I did, but it was tremendously difficult being a sole trader and not only undertaking the work, rapid response work, but also keeping abreast of developments in the space. So that was tremendously difficult. I'm fortunate now because I have wonderful, wonderful support from colleagues in my law firm. And it's been a game changer, quite frankly. I don't know how I ever managed before without them. So I'm in a very, very privileged position. But in terms of those challenges, it first and foremost are the questions about AI being used offensively in cyber attacks. That's a principal concern. But then in terms of the greater themes of legal queries coming to me, it's very much geopolitical. It's looking at the current situations with tariffs. It's looking at various economic issues and tax-related queries, and very much people coming to me and saying either we've been operating in X jurisdiction, we now want to move, say, to Dubai. Can you assist us with that? Which I can with our teams. Or alternatively, it's I've got this fabulous idea for an innovative cyber project, whether that be an AI model or a data aggregator platform or something of that nature. And they're coming to me to assist them with making that vision a reality. And it's a real privilege to do that. That's very much what gets me out of bed every day. And so therein lies various issues for clients. They have to think of the full suite of data protection issues, cybersecurity, mitigation. There may be corporate, commercial, tax, employment, potentially family, potentially private client work, for instance, if there's ultra high net worths or high net worths. So it's multifaceted, but again, I try and take that complexity and distill it, putting tech at the center and the client's objectives at the center. It's a difficult juggling act, but as I say, I've got a lot of help now.
The team is a huge support to you in your role, but equally your expertise for your clients, I'm sure, is invaluable to them. We mentioned earlier on, Racheal, about mentoring and the power of mentoring and support, I suppose. But for any future lawyers or future interested lawyers in coming into the space, is there any kind of key advice that you would give to them for people to, build a career in cyber law?
It's a funny one, Ellie, because many people will come to me and say, love your work, which is always nice. How do I become a cyber lawyer? Or how do I become a crypto lawyer or an art lawyer even? There was a time I practiced in that space. And the funny thing is, in fact, it takes time to become a lawyer that has that diversity of skill set, because there's no such thing truly as cyber law. It's so multifaceted. But of course, we use that terminology to encapture everything and encapsulate rather. And look, it's collectively a fast moving frontier. You have to have a mind to so many different disciplines, so much nuance in terms of the technology, where's it going? Looking, for instance, something I'm focusing an awful lot on these days, on interoperability between various forms of technology. So, for instance, blockchain technology, otherwise known as distributed ledger technology, which we see in the digital asset world, interoperable with artificial intelligence, for instance, interoperable with data management solutions. So it's creating those bridges. But truly, the advice that I would have for those in this sphere, particularly those who want to enter into the law and specialize in all things tech and cyber, is say yes to everything. Just learn as much as you can, whether it be criminal, family, employment, corporate, commercial, tax, insolvency, litigation. Just try everything and learn as much as you can. And one of the best things I ever did was also sitting down with technologists on various occasions and asking the quote unquote silly questions. Here's the tracing exercise you've conducted for this particular investigation. What's that? What does that terminology mean? How has that gone from there to there? And where have we ended up? And why have we ended up there? How do you say that works? Or for instance, how is this technology using data for training, for instance? So it's asking those questions, it's being curious, it's being open-minded and really gregarious. Put yourself forward for things, don't shy away, and you'll be surprised where you end up. And I'm just so pleased that I was encouraged to do just that.
It sounds as though there's a whole skill set that obviously is involved in studying law, but then also adding that cyber element and having to understand the technological side of it is it's incredibly interesting, incredibly fascinating, but again, time consuming. So how do you balance it all?
Gosh, well, I use what time I have for travel effectively. So, of course, us data protection professionals, cyber professionals, we know the importance of, for instance, not logging on to public Wi-Fi, particularly in an airport. We know all this. Certainly, I don't print documents and carry them with me or nothing of that nature. nor am I one to get my laptop out with highly sensitive documents on public transport. That does not happen. But instead, what I will seek to do is use my travel time, whether it be on a plane, whether it be on a train, sometimes in a car, but I get a bit car sick, as we all do, to just research, look on LinkedIn. Another key tip for those who are looking to explore this space in practice or entering into practice is, for the time being, LinkedIn is the most effective professional social media platform. And that may not stand the test of time. We know there have been other platforms, social media, that have fallen out of favor. But certainly connect with like-minded individuals. Drop your mentors and your hopeful mentors for the future message, and also add yourself to those groups, seek invitations so you can get a constant flow in your feed of relevant information. Go to those events. And so, yeah, I think just be effective with your time. Use artificial intelligence, use Gen AI, large language models. Of course, I add the caveat that you don't enter confidential information into said models and use them in compliance with your employer's policies and OECD principles. But yes, insofar as you can use the technology to improve efficiencies throughout your day, as I do, use them, because they're there. And if you don't use them, then quite frankly, you'll be consigned to history. So that's my advice. I think maximize your time by finding those nooks and crannies in your day when you can do some research on the go, and yeah, just love what you do. Find that aspect of cyber law that gets you out of bed every day.
That's great advice. I think that segues us really nicely onto our closing question, which I like to have a bit of fun with on the podcast. But if you could have a superpower to assist you in your work, what would it be and why?
Oh gosh. Wow. Okay. Well, it's got to be the crystal ball, hasn't it? It's got to be. We all suspect what may come. And many of my wonderful clients have said I've got a knack for it when it comes to mitigating risk. But if I could know for certain the future, well, wouldn't that be a fabulous superpower? And knowing exactly who the bad actors were going to be, where they were going to be, how they were going to strike, say in a cyber attack, who their targets would be, down to the finest of detail, reading their minds, essentially, knowing for certain what was coming. Well, you could launch counterattacks, and that would be wonderful for clients. But also knowing future patterns of business, wouldn't that be great? But alas, for the time being, I'm just going to have to rely on my instincts. And
Pretty good.
yeah, well, I do my best, but none of us know for sure. But then again, that's part of the journey, isn't it? And what keeps us all on our toes.
Quite right, absolutely. Well, Racheal, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a brilliant conversation and a real insight into your world, which I'm fascinated by anyway. But hearing behind the scenes of the legal sector is so intriguing, and I'm sure that our listeners have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. So thank you for joining me today. Any closing words from you, Racheal, or anything you'd like to leave us on today?
Oh, well, I suppose I ought to say that I'm here today in large part because of the recognition the awards gave me, and it inspired me to make this leap into my current roles. And I look forward to seeing you all on the 29th of September for the awards. And thank you, Ellie.